All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got more of our daily best bets here for college basketball here on November 28th. And yes, the setup is completely different, obviously. This setup will be like this, I think, for the next 2 days, and then we'll be back with the graphics on the screen. But for now, again, I am not home, so I'm going to have to come out here and it just make videos like this. This is on my phone and on my microphone, so again, things are different, but, you know, it'll be better and it'll be like normal next week. But the content is still the same, obviously. We still have 5 best bets for college basketball here on November 28th. No NBA on Thanksgiving, obviously, but there is still college basketball. And what a crazy slate yesterday was, obviously, UConn losing the 7th place game to Dayton. I didn't predict that to happen. We predicted, again, Dayton to cover that spread, but my goodness, losing the game outright for UConn is embarrassing for Dan Hurley and the guys. But, you know, that's just what happens in the Maui Invitational. That's what's happened all week long here for a feast week. And of course, we've got more games coming at you here on Thursday. And of course, we've got our 5 best bets for this full Thursday slate. And folks, if you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Let's get into our first game of 5 again here on Thanksgiving. And we'll start things off with Wichita State and Minnesota. So we like the Shockers from Wichita State to win this basketball game. We like them to cover the line as well. This one is being played the ESPN Wide World of Sports, and I've never been high on this Minnesota team all season long. You know, we've picked against them in the Cleveland State game. Obviously, they did win that game and ended up covering, but I'm more that game. The takeaway I got from watching last time I watched Minnesota was that Cleveland State game. The takeaway I got from that was Cleveland State's just a very bad mid-major, and Minnesota should have lost that basketball game. And since then, of course, we have picked against the Cleveland State Vikings. And Minnesota's last game, not an impressive victory over Central Michigan, winning the game by just 3 points. And again, this team is centered just around Dawson Garcia. We've talked about this with Minnesota too. Once you get past Dawson Garcia on this team, they're not that great of a squad. I mean, really, again, Garcia literally does everything for them. He averages 23 points a night. He's going to average 8 rebounds a game as well. But once you get, again, past that production you get out of Dawson Garcia, I don't really like what you have here for Minnesota. And we haven't talked about the Wichita State Shockers all season long, given they haven't really been in a game where, you know, I felt the need to pick them or at least feature them in a video so far, just because, I mean, their games they played, they beat Western Kentucky on the road in Bowling Green, they beat Montana State, they beat UNI, Northern Iowa, they beat Monmouth, and they just came off their victory against St. Louis last Friday. But Wichita State's a really good team, man. Again, they're 5-0 this season. Their leading scorer is Justin Hill, who's averaging 17.5 points a game. He scored 31 in their opener against the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. And again, Wichita State, they are undefeated for a reason. They are 5-0 for a reason. Minnesota, again, it does not play that great of basketball. Besides Dawson Garcia, they are not great. Again, every single game that they've won this season, except for the one loss they had against North Texas, a game that Dawson Garcia was questionable to play, he ended up playing it. But I mean, look at the point totals out of Dawson Garcia in each one of these games. 30 in the Oral Roberts win, 24 in the victory over Omaha, 24 in the loss to North Texas, 24 in the win over Yale. Against Cleveland State, it was Fox who balled out from Minnesota that game. Parker Fox hits a mid-court shot to end the first half to draw Minnesota, or I think to give Minnesota a 3-point lead going into halftime. I mean, trust me, Minnesota caught a lot of breaks in that game against Cleveland State, and Cleveland State went completely cold from the field in the second half. They could not hit a shot to save their lives. I mean, I know there was a point in time where they didn't score for 8 minutes straight in that basketball game. It was insane. Or they didn't have a field goal in 8 minutes. The only points came off of free throws. And then, of course, the game against Central Michigan, Dawson Garcia puts up 22 and 11. They win the basketball game, but only by 3 points. I don't think Minnesota's that good. I really don't think they are. Again, neutral site game. I really like Wichita State in this spot. And sure, has Wichita beat anybody that's been all that great this season? Not entirely. You know, they beat a St. Louis squad by 25 points. That's what they're supposed to do. Obviously, not beat them by 25, but that's what they did. I mean, I watched St. Louis once or twice this season. The game that really sticks out to me is when I watched them play Santa Clara at the beginning of the year. They really didn't look all that great. And Santa Clara has just been mediocre so far this season. Trust me, I've been to a couple of Santa Clara games so far this year. I'm sure I'll go to more, but I like Wichita State to pick up the victory here. I like the Shockers. Again, this is a neutral site game in Florida, but I do like Wichita State to get it done. This is the earliest pick we have here on this video. This game's at 9 a.m. on the West Coast, noon on the East Coast. Obviously, this one is before the Lions and the Bears Thanksgiving game. We like Wichita State here over Minnesota. Again, I really question what Minnesota has going for them other than Dawson Garcia. Yes, they play decent defense, but again, their production on offense besides Dawson Garcia is really lacking. So give me the Wichita State Shockers to pick up the victory and cover the 1.5 points as well against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Let's go on to our next game here. We go to Gonzaga versus Indiana. 2 losers yesterday in the Bahamas, and 2 losers we did not think was going to happen. I'll be honest with you. I didn't think it was going to happen. as the Gonzaga one's the more shocking one, honestly. I mean, again, we didn't talk about Gonzaga yesterday, but I felt like it was kind of an obvious play. Oh, Gonzaga's going to beat West Virginia. Now, I didn't, again, make that an official pick yesterday, but I've been saying it. Gonzaga's the best team in all of college basketball. They're not, obviously. Number one's Auburn, okay? It goes without saying. Auburn's right now the number one team in college basketball. Number two is going to be the Kansas Jayhawks after their victory over Duke in Vegas a couple days ago. But right now, yeah, the number one team in college basketball is undoubtedly the Auburn Tigers after what they just did in Maui. I mean, they were fourth going into that. No, they are the number one team in the country. I mean, what above them is Zaga, Kansas, and UConn. Hell, should UConn even be ranked anymore, guys, with 3 losses this week? I'm serious. They lost to Dayton. Like, I don't think UConn should be ranked anymore. Regardless, we get Gonzaga versus Indiana here. Gonzaga should mop the floor with the Indiana Hoosiers. And I know yesterday I came on the channel saying, oh, we love the Hoosiers here. We're going to keep pumping up Indiana, obviously, with both football and basketball. That's great. No, we're going to keep hyping them up in football. I still think Indiana has a chance. I don't know if they're going to win the national championship. I think they have a chance definitely to win a playoff game this season, which is going to be great for Kurt Cignetti and the guys. And shout out Curtis Rourke as well. But I don't think I'm ever going to back Indiana basketball again, or at least not until we get to Big Ten play, because I can't do it with this team. It's ridiculous. Malik Reneau finally has a big game against their loss yesterday in Nassau against Louisville, but this team loses by 30 points. So you know what this tells me, guys? Nothing's changed from Indiana basketball. Indiana football completely changed, but no, Mike Woodson and Indiana basketball still, it's the same thing. It's the same thing as last season. They're not going to be able to win the big game. Sure, they beat South Carolina. They beat the Gamecocks earlier this year. That's it. This is still not a good team. I'm serious. I don't think they're great. Mbako, they get Mbako, Reneau, Miles Rice, Omar Ballo. Again, Khalil Ware was not, I don't think Khalil Ware is anything special for this team, and I'm not going to say, them not having Khalil Ware is the reason they're losing. I mean, they still sucked last year with Khalil Ware, and they haven't added anything better than Khalil Ware on this team. And again, I don't think Khalil Ware was the reason they were winning games last year, but it's just, I don't know. I don't like this Indiana team. I don't. Again, I didn't mind them yesterday, obviously, when we picked them to beat Louisville. But after watching this team play, no, we're completely off the Hoosiers. We were sold fool's gold, all right? We were sold an illusion, okay? I spent an off season here with the Indiana Hoosiers. I spent 6 months thinking, Indiana's going to be great, but no, I was living an illusion with the Indiana Hoosiers basketball team. It was a mirage with Indiana basketball, okay? Gonzaga, even though they lost to West Virginia, which I don't understand how they lose to the Mountaineers, but they just had a really bad basketball game. They were in it, obviously it was a close game, but West Virginia just pulled away. I think this is a perfect bounce back spot for the Gonzaga Bulldogs here. We're getting -9.5 here for Gonzaga, -450 on the odds. I think they should be able to win this game fairly easily. I think they should be able to cover the 9.5 points fairly easily as well. Again, Indiana just lost by 30 points yesterday, again, to Louisville. Imagine what Gonzaga is going to do to them. Again, I get it, Gonzaga lost to West Virginia, but what Gonzaga can't do here is turn into UConn and just completely unravel once you lose the first game of your tournament. I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't think so. I think Gonzaga is going to win. If Gonzaga doesn't win, again, we talked about Indiana being a mirage, if Gonzaga is not able to pull this one through against Indiana, I'm going to go the next 18 months thinking this was just, I was just, living a false reality here with Gonzaga. Because, they better cover this basketball game. They better win. Watching Indiana play yesterday, I don't care how bad Gonzaga was yesterday, Gonzaga should win the basketball game. Give me the Bulldogs to go beat the Indiana Hoosiers and cover the 9.5 points as well. Next up, hey, we're going to get you an underdog pick here. We've got the North Dakota State Bison. Yes, we're going back to North Dakota State. Obviously, we love picking South Dakota State, but now we get to pick their rivals one time here in the Bison against the Utah Valley Wolverines. We like the North Dakota State Bison plus 195 on the money line. If you want to take the spread, go take it as well, plus 5.5 for the Bison. This is a scrappy North Dakota State team. That's the best way I can put them. They've got some players on the squad. Now, they are 4-4 this season, I get it, but Jakari White's a ball player, man. I've watched this North Dakota State team in person this year. I watched them play against Santa Clara. Jakari White passes the eye test. This is a great basketball player. He's their leader. He's averaging 19 points a game. They've got Jackson Monty as well, who's averaging 12.5 points a game. North Dakota State, I think, should be able to get this one done. I think they're being underrated here on the line. I really think they are. I think they're being underrated on the line here against Utah Valley. I mean, Utah Valley, again, this is a team that is 4-2. They lost to Samford. They lost to UND, North Dakota, who, how is North Dakota doing this year? I vaguely remember, they're 3-4. So I would say North Dakota's having a worse year than North Dakota State. Historically, North Dakota State's always been better than UND. North Dakota State's always been one of the better teams in the Summit compared to UND. Last year, UND was actually better, but I think North Dakota State is still better than UND last year. Yeah. Well, okay. Just at least last 10 years, historically, usually, North Dakota State is better than North Dakota. Again, we're not going to play the math like that. Oh, again, Utah Valley loses to North Dakota, so that means they have to lose to North Dakota State too. But that's just kind of comparatively putting these teams where they're at. Again, I think the Bison are better than UND this season, so I'd expect the guys from Fargo to win this basketball game. I would. Again, sure, they lost to Samford as well in this little tournament, which is in, God, where the hell is this? Both these teams again have played Samford. North Dakota State lost the game by 5 points in overtime. Utah Valley lost against Samford in the second round of the tournament by 8 points. So again, Utah Valley wins the first game of this tournament against West Georgia by 3 points. Okay, and then North Dakota State ran into Samford. They lost, and then they got to play West Georgia. They beat them by 12 points. So again, I know we don't want to play margins like that, but look, again, Utah Valley, the Wolverines beat West Georgia by 3 points. They lose to Samford by 8. Well, North Dakota State goes to overtime with Samford, loses by 5 points and puts up 98 points, and they beat West Georgia by 12 points. Again, I know everything doesn't, straight come down to straight, margins and how much you beat teams by, but I feel like that has to play some sort of a factor here. This is a tournament that is being hosted in Homewood, Alabama. Do I know where Homewood, Alabama is? No. But still, I think, again, with all that being said, I like North Dakota State. On top of that, again, I've watched these two teams play this season. I think North Dakota State is the way better team. Again, just watching them, and sure, I've watched them in the Santa Clara game. I saw a little bit of the West Georgia game yesterday. Again, I don't have a full assessment. Obviously, I haven't watched every single game out of North Dakota State this season, and I haven't watched every single game of Utah Valley either, just because there's a lot more fun teams to watch in these two squads. But from what I've seen, I think North Dakota State's the better team. And also, I just really like the value here, too. I mean, hell, again, you get NDSU at plus 5.5. And if you want to do the money line, perfect. Give me plus 195 for the Bison here. I feel like those both should feel like pretty good value bets here. Again, if you don't want to take the money line, I feel like, again, I don't think North Dakota State loses this game by 5 points. I really don't think they do. By more than 5 points. I don't see it happening. Again, Jakari White's a baller. They've got guys on this team that can go out there and score. Their losses this season, okay, Illinois State, Cal State, Bakersfield, Southern Illinois, sure, again, they got blown out in the Southern Illinois game, but again, if North Dakota State can get their shooting going, if they can actively score, they should be fine. I think that's what they will do. I like North Dakota State to go in here in Alabama and beat Utah Valley. They will get it done. Again, you can take the 5.5 points, but I also like the Bison to straight up win the basketball game as well. So let's move on to our next one here. We go to our fourth game of the video. We've got North Texas, the Mean Green, taking on the Northern Iowa Panthers, and we like the Mean Green to take care of business here. They're getting 3.5 points here. This is another game in that tournament at the ESPN Wide World of Sports. And I think North Texas here is getting some pretty good value. Now, again, we mentioned North Texas earlier on in the video when they played Minnesota. They went to Minneapolis and beat the Golden Gophers by 3 points. Since then, they have lost to McNeese, which is a really weird team. Again, a McNeese squad that, lost to South Dakota State earlier this season, but a team, again, that was like 12 seed last year in the NCAA tournament. Since then, obviously, though, for North Texas, they beat Texas Wesleyan. I don't know where that is. It's an NIAA, I believe. And then they're coming off a 3-point victory over Oregon State. Now, again, Oregon State, a very off and on team, a very, again, volume shooting team, but a great last victory for North Texas, right? They have a collective unit of guys who can score. There's not going to be one guy that's going to set himself above the others here at North Texas. I mean, you got Aiden Wright, who's going to be scoring 12 points a game. You got Jonathan Massey, who's averaging 11. You've got Brennan Laurent, who's averaging 9.5. You've got 9 points a game at Latrell Jossel. You've got 9 points a game at Jasper Floyd. I mean, everyone in the starting five can score for this North Texas team. It's really dependent on the game who's going to go off and who's going to set themselves apart from the others. And for UNI, right, Northern Iowa, a 3-2 school this year from the Missouri Valley. Their first game of the season, they come in, they beat Duquesne. I don't know where that is, 96-54. They beat Milwaukee after that, but then they drop back-to-back games to UC Irvine and to Wichita State. Now, I think the Anteaters from UC Irvine are great. I think, again, they're probably going to win the Big West this season. I would think so, as long as Long Beach State isn't pulling out their ass. But you know what? I watched Long Beach State play San Jose State yesterday. A disgusting performance. I mean, Devin Askew and the guys for the Beach are just, they're horrible. I ain't gonna lie. Like, Long Beach State is really bad. How do you lose to San Jose State by 16 points? I don't understand. And Will McClendon, I think, didn't score a point until like halfway through the second half, and San Jose State still beat them by 16 points. Ridiculous. Regardless, for Northern Iowa, they lose to Irvine. They lose only by 6 points to Wichita State, who we talked about earlier, and then they beat West Illinois 82-56. The West Illinois win, honestly, not that horrible. Now, I don't know how we won the assessed West Illinois, because at the beginning of the season they did go to San Jose and beat San Jose State, and San Jose State is not playing as poorly as I thought they were going to play this season. West Illinois does have a win over South Alabama too. They won that game on the road by 1 point, so honestly not a bad loss for UNI either, but I just think all around the better team is North Texas. Northern Iowa led by Titan Anderson, who's averaging 14 points a game, and then Jacob Hudson is going to be averaging 13. Again, Hudson's their center, Anderson one of their guards. I just think, again, North Texas has the all-around better starting five. Sure, Northern Iowa might have the best scorer in this game in Titan Anderson. I'm not going to dispute that, but I think as a whole, the entire starting lineup for North Texas and North Texas's depth, I do think is better than what UNI has. So ultimately, that's where we're going to go with North Texas to win this basketball game. Again, Titan Anderson has been a great UNI Panther. He's been here his entire collegiate career. I get that. I just think, again, North Texas has, the better overall squad, and they should be able to win this game. And again, you look at what both these teams have seen so far this season. Again, North Texas, their only loss is to McNeese on the road. They have a win over a good team a decent team in Minnesota. Hell, that's the Golden Gophers' only loss so far this season, right? And North Texas gave that to them. Now, again, we personally think that they're going to get their second loss against Wichita State today, but regardless of that, right? I mean, North Texas went to Minneapolis and won the game in a Big Ten environment. So I don't mind North Texas at all in the spot. They're getting 3.5 on the line. We like that. Minus 175. If you want to play it, go play it. But again, minus 3.5 feels pretty good in this one. Give me the North Texas Mean Green to win this game at the ESPN facility in Florida. They're going to cover the 3.5 points, and they will win the game outright as well against the UNI Panthers. As we go on to our final game, I was thinking about either doing UNM versus Arizona State or this game, but I feel like this one's better. I like Kent State and Towson in this spot. From Lethbridge, AB. That's got to be Alberta. Is that Alberta? Wait, are they playing what? They're playing in Canada? Where is this? They are playing in Canada. Okay, we have got American college basketball in the six, up in Canada. We have got the Kent State Golden Flashes. Yes, again, the embarrassment of college football, Kent State taking on the Towson Tigers. Again, I said at the beginning of the season, I'll say it again, I'm not afraid to pick Kent State in basketball because you know what? I think Kent State has a very good chance to win the Mid-American Conference this season. We picked them in their last game against Cleveland State. What happened? They dominated the basketball game. They won the game by 16 points, right? Look what they did at the beginning of the season when we picked them to beat the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana. They won the game by 4 points. Kent State has cashed for us all season long, and I think they're going to continue to cash for us. I think they're a way better team than Towson, guys. Towson lost by 7 points to St. Mary's. I get it. St. Mary's a good school. They take on USC today. I think they'll probably beat USC, but we'll see. Didn't feel good enough to make that an official pick, but what else has Towson done this season? They beat Wilkes-Barre. Okay, it's an NIAA. They lose to the Gamecocks of South Carolina. They beat JMU. They beat Nichols, and they beat Morgan State. I mean, they're barely getting by a lot of these schools in all fairness. Again, the JMU win by 4, the Nichols win by 6, and Morgan State by 4 points. Again, the JMU win, good win. I mean, go to Morgan State. I mean, they've gone on the road, and they've picked up victories. So again, good for the Towson Tigers. I just don't think they're able to parlay that to a victory against Kent State, I'll be honest with you. Dylan Williamson and Tyler Tejeda do it all for them. I don't know, is Tejeda back? No, I think Tejeda's still out. So their leading scorer, their sophomore guards, I think he plays the 3, the 2. Tyler Tejeda, I don't think is playing in this game, and again, he is the leading scorer for this Towson squad. Kent State, again, led by Von Cameron Davis, who's averaging 16 points a game. You get Morgan Safford as well, who's averaging 11. I do like this, duo here for Kent State. Safford, their senior 2 guard, scoring 11 points a game. And again, Von Cameron Davis is their 3, who's averaging 16. He's their senior from Columbus, Ohio. He's been playing great this season, had a really good year last year as well at Kent State. So you get Von Cameron Davis spent his entire collegiate career at Kent State, and he's been playing really well this season. And again, I think Kent State's just the better basketball team against Towson in this one. You look at the odds, we're getting minus 1.5 for Kent State. We're getting minus 125 as well for them, and for Towson, again, plus 105, plus 1.5. I do like the Golden Flashes in this spot. I really do. Again, the Golden Flashes have done us very well this season. They have. Again, the Cleveland State game, the Louisiana game, we are 2-0 so far this season picking Kent State. I'm not going to put them in the same categories as South Dakota State Jackrabbits. Is a team that we love taking every single day, but I do like what we get out of Kent State. I think they're one of the better teams in the Mid-American Conference this season, and I'd expect them to beat a Towson squad, which honestly, again, they're without Tejeda. I'm pretty sure Tejeda's not playing. I will check real quick. But I don't think Tyler Tejeda's playing. He has not played in 3 games, and I think Kent State's able to go up to Canada and pick up the victory here. I will very quickly check if Tyler Tejeda is going to give it a go. There's really nothing on him, so I'd assume he's not playing. I can't find anything that says that Tyler Tejeda is going to play, so I'd assume he's not. Again, played the first 3 games, has not played since. I don't know. Then you put again. Then Dylan Williamson. I think he's their Dylan Williamson. Their 2 is their leading scorer. 14 points a game. 14 points a game. I don't know. I don't really love what Towson's offering here. Again, they've already lost 2 games so far this season. They lost St. Mary's, lost South Carolina. I get those are not bad losses, but Kent State, again, their only loss all year is that one game where they went on the road to Auburn and lost by 23 points. Okay, well, again, look where Auburn's at this season. They're the best team right now in college basketball. So I really don't see anything wrong in picking Kent State here. I think, again, they are the better team, and I think they should be able to win this game up in Alberta, Canada. Again, neutral site game, obviously. I think they're able to go up to Canada and pick up a victory, a huge victory for Towson to improve the Golden Flashes to 5-1 on the season. A big victory for Kent State. We like him, again, to cover the 1.5 points or just take the minus 125. Pretty simple. So, folks, that'll do it for our daily college basketball predictions here on November 28th. Yeah, November 28th. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets. Again, we're going to be in the setup for today and then tomorrow's video. And then, of course, on Saturday, we'll be back in the normal setup. Again, I'm just away for Thanksgiving. So, folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Folks, thank y'all for watching. And Mamba forever.